You know what's funny? That 100-year-old fence of mine had survived blizzards, wildfires, and one time, a moose that got too curious but it couldn't survive the HOA. Yeah. They sent a bulldozer, no warning, no conversation, just crushed it like it was some rotten shed in the way of progress. Said it didn't meet the neighborhood aesthetic. And standing right there, clipboard in hand, like she just solved world peace, was the HOA president Lorraine Whitaker grinning like she'd won something. But what Lorraine didn't realize is, when she took down that fence, she kicked open a legal hornet's nest that ended with her losing everything and me, a broke single dad just trying to hold onto my cabin, becoming the one person who could legally shut down her entire empire in 72 hours. Yeah, buckle up. Name's Kayla Brown. I'm a carpenter, been raising my daughter Lucy on my own since my wife passed. We live in a little cabin by Wren Lake, been in my family since 1925, built by my grandfather with his own two hands. That old oak fence she bulldozed. My dad repaired it, I rebuilt it, and Lucy's initials are carved into it right beside mine. It was our story written in wood. Now over the years, what used to be forest and fishing docks turned into luxury glass mansions. These people roll in with their Range Rovers and act like anything that isn't polished granite is a crime against humanity. Lorraine. She was the queen of them all. The kind of woman who could turn a PTA meeting into a boardroom standoff. Ran the HOA like a dictator in pearls. She shows up one day and delivers a letter, like she's doing me a favor. Says I have 30 days to update the fencing structure to comply with community guidelines. Mind you, I'm not part of her HOA. Never signed anything, never agreed to be included. She didn't care. Let me back up a sec. The real twist came when her sister Mia, total opposite, think yoga pants and too much green juice, came skipping up to my porch the next day, all smiles and, oh my god, you must be the cabin guy. She drops this casual bomb like it's gossip. Lorraine's been drawing plans for a private road straight through your land to the yacht dock. I laughed, but deep down, it didn't feel like a joke. So I start digging. Her letter looked official, but had no legal seal, no registration number, just puffed up nonsense on fancy paper. I head to the county clerk's office and boom, turns out, the Wren Lake HOA doesn't even legally exist. Lorraine had created it out of thin air. All those threats and regulations. Just her pushing paper and people around because no one had checked. But she made a mistake. See, Mia, bless her, came over one day and spilled her oat milk latte all over Lorraine's precious development documents. And right there, under a coffee stain, I spotted a parcel number. And that number? It wasn't just my cabin. It covered the entire lakefront development. I took it to the assessor's office, and that's when the ground shifted. My grandfather wasn't just a builder. Back in 1925, he was appointed by the federal government as the environmental guardian of Wren Lake's watershed, 50 hectares of federally protected land. The title: hereditary. Still valid. Still binding. And now legally mine. That meant every single construction project on that lake, every $1 million villa, every glass dock, every tree she had removed had been illegal without my written approval. Lorraine had no idea. She thought she'd bullied some backwoods carpenter. Turns out, I was the one person with the power to bring it all down. And I did. While I gathered the documents, original maps, letters, the federal designation, Lorraine escalated. 3 days after the fence incident, I get home from the hardware store and see dust in the air. She'd sent in demolition crews matching shirts with her development company's name on them and flattened the rest of the fence. Brought a photographer too, to capture her little victory. And Lucy. She stepped off the school bus, saw the wreckage, and just cried. That was it for me. I filed an emergency petition as the legal guardian of the lake. Lorraine responded with PR spin. She released a video calling me a fraud, trespasser, even said I was threatening the safety of the community. Local Facebook groups lit up with her story. Suddenly I was the villain. A squatter, a scammer, a lunatic. But while Lorraine ran her mouth, I built my case. Then came the twist. Mia, sweet chaotic Mia, showed up at my door at 10 p.m., dragging 2 pink suitcases and crying her eyes out. Said Lorraine had locked her out, cut her credit cards, and threatened to sue her for leaking family secrets. She handed me a USB. Said, everything's on there. All of it. And she wasn't kidding. Emails. Contracts. Bank transfers. Lorraine had already taken $50 million from a Chinese mining firm. The lake wasn't about real estate. It was about lithium. The plan was to drain Ren Lake, mine the lakebed, and vanish. The villas. Just a front to make the land look legit before the real operation started. And then came the cherry on top. Mia went live on Instagram from Lorraine's office accidentally at first, trying to film a dance video. But in the background, Lorraine, in a meeting with her investors, talking about how the Guardian situation was temporary and how they'd eliminate the problem soon. Boom. Viral in an hour. Subtitled, translated, clipped, shared everywhere. Public opinion turned fast. Environmental groups rallied. The press dug into Lorraine's past. Turns out, she'd falsified records to seize property years earlier, including one that used to belong to Mia's parents. She'd bankrupted them, forced a sale, then adopted Mia as a PR stunt. Built her own mansion on the spot where Mia's childhood home used to stand. At that point, federal agents stepped in. We had enough for a full-scale investigation. With 72 hours to act, I invoked my legal authority, filed for emergency seizure of all 12 villas under federal environmental protection law. Lorraine. She panicked. Showed up at my place with private security and a megaphone, demanding I hand over the documents or face consequences. She streamed the whole thing and handed the FBI exactly what they needed. She was arrested at hour 72. Charged with fraud, conspiracy, environmental terrorism, even negligent homicide from the property seizure that led to Mia's parents' deaths. The Lakefront empire. Seized. The mining deal. Exposed. Her lawyers. Gone. Her image. Shattered. And me. I rebuilt the fence. With Lucy beside me, measuring, painting, asking if she'd be a guardian someday. I told her, that's up to you, sweetheart, but Grandpa Fergus would be proud. Now Ren Lake's protected again, not by laws, but by people who care. And Lorraine. She's got 25 years to think about where she went wrong. But here's what I wanna ask you: if someone like Lorraine believes she owns the rules, is it justice when she loses? Or just karma catching up? Drop a comment, tell me what you think. Because sometimes the biggest fights start with something as small as a broken fence and end with a whole community waking up.